Welcome back to AI Weekly News by Cyber Intel Systems. I'm glad you're with us. I'm your host, Lisa Parsons. Today's story is about Stanford Biomni turns biomedical questions into traceable research refigs. Stanford designed Biomni to accept questions in ordinary language, such as why one group of patients responds differently to a drug. The agent can read literature, form hypotheses, select adenase and tools, write code, interpret results, and suggest next stage experiments. That sequence is what makes it a RAGOM agent rather than a question-answering chatbot. The system combines 150 specialized biomedical tools, 105 software packages, and 59 databases. Those resources span all 25 biomedical subdomains defined by bioactive, from genetics to neurology. The important design choice is not simply the count. It is that the agent can choose among domain resources as the research plan develops. Biomni also provides citations and tracks the work it performs. That record can help a researcher inspect where evidence came from, which code ran, and how an intermediate result was produced. Traceability does not guarantee that a result is correct, but it gives reviewers more to examine than an unsupported answer from a general chapel. Stanford says a Biomni prototype is already in use at more than 10,000 academic and industry labs. That is meaningful adoption for a research agent, although the reported total does not by itself show how frequently each lab uses it or how often its suggestions survive expert review. Future evaluation should separate account adoption from completed reproducible research outcomes. One example shows the possible labor savings. A user supplied more than 450 files containing continuous glucose food, intake, and physical activity data, then asked the system to find plausible patterns. The Stanford says Biomni cleaned and unified the files, created visualizations, and proposed relationships involving food intake and body temperature in 40 minutes. Person. Let's pause here for a short break. We'll be right back after this bumper. Welcome back. If you find this useful, follow and subscribe to AI Weekly News. Now, let's continue the news. That example is a case study, not a controlled benchmark across every biomedical task. Labs still need suitable compute, permission to use each DoT, secure handling for sensitive information, and people who understand the underlying biology. The system may reduce mechanical effort without removing the cost of scientific oversight. The human-in-the-loop boundary is the central safety point. An agent can identify a correlation that looks interesting, but it cannot establish biological causation. Researchers must check data quality, statistical assumptions, alternative explanations, and whether a proposed experiment is ethical and well-designed. Reproducibility also requires more than a list of citations. Reviewers may need software versions, parameters, data, transformations, failed steps, and a record of any human changes to the plan. Biomni's tracking features provide a useful foundation, but independent studies will need to test how complete and reliable those records are in practice. Biomni is a strong example of where domain agents are becoming useful, not as automatic authorities, but as operators of a carefully selected research toolkit. The next evidence to watch is independent task, performance, failure rates, reproducibility across labs, and whether saved time leads to better experiments rather than simply more hypotheses. Thank you for listening to AI Weekly News by Cyber Intel Systems. Subscribe and join us next week for the latest AI stories.